morning, good afternoon, good evening to all the participants from the different time zone. Thank you on behalf of Fisher Middle East and Africa for joining us our first webinar on EI. These days we talk more about AI than EI. But if we forget EI, we are bound to be stressed. If we forget social distancing, we are heading for troubles in life. My colleague Mohammad Samiuddin did an excellent program on emotional intelligence to all of us, his colleagues. Today, we decided to present the essence of our learning to all our customers, friends, and families. What is EI? How will it benefit me? You'll hear it soon from him. Let me tell you a real life story. Way back on 6th November 2015, I was waiting to check in a hotel in Nairobi. There were a lot of guests waiting, and I found them excited, angry. Some of them were shouting. But I also watched the guy at the reception was very calm, quiet. He was smiling with thanks on his face. And he was control of the whole situation. Never for a moment he was rude or lost control. So when my turn came, I went to him and asked, Peter, can you tell me, how do you manage stress? How you kept yourself in control of the whole situation? He said, sir, you want to learn? Yes, Peter, can you help me? Peter took out a bottle from his table, and I read it was written as angry and upset. So Peter said, sir, many years back, I created this bottle. And whenever I find a reason to be angry, upset, that I want to shout at somebody, I will pick up something from the table and I will put it inside the box. And the evening, I would look at the bottle and I would see it full. And then I will tell myself, Peter, look how much angry you were, how much upset you were. And I realized it's bad for my health and bad for all my relations. And then years of practice, now these days my bottle is almost empty. And that's the power of EI. Let's hear from my colleague, Mohammad Samiuddin. And if you all like the program, do motivate us. Do motivate us to bring you more programs like this. Because at the end, together we win. Thank you. Mohammad Samiuddin.
Very good morning to one and all present here. Thank you, Mr. Mukherjee, for giving us such an insight of what is emotional intelligence. Let us go directly into the program. Thank you for joining us. I am sure all of you would have already experienced something with Fisher. I have something in my hand. Can anyone guess what these are? Can anyone type in your chat box and tell us what these are, which I'm holding? Okay, yes, these are anchors. This is what is Fisher all about. You might have already attended webinars on anchors or our technical support, but this is going to be the first program in the Middle East that will not talk about anchors. This will talk about people. Today, we are here to discuss, interact, and analyze about ourselves and people around us. That is an introduction about myself. I am Mohammad Samiuddin. I am the sales engineer. Overall, I have 8 years of experience in construction industry. This is my third year with Fisher. I have done my mechanical engineering. Some of my accolades in last 3 years are, I've been the sales engineer of the year in 2018. I was the highest turnover achiever in 2019. And this topic for today was presented by me last year, and it won for me best book presenter in 2019. Agenda for today would be, we will have an interaction presentation for 35 to 45 minutes. We will have a quiz time for 20 to 15 minutes. There will be a self-science session to analyze ourselves for 10 minutes. Do's and don'ts would be, this webinar is best viewable in Google Chrome. You should not be downloading any other file to have better experience. Your cell phones to be kept on silence for you not to be disturbed. And any questions, any suggestions, you can write into us on the chat box. We are simultaneously, our technical team is reading it, and any suggestions we would improve. Feedback is a gift. You can type in your feedback onto the chat box at the end of the session. Let us start. What is emotional intelligence? I would take 1 minute of, let me be silent for 1 minute. You can type in your answers of what is emotional intelligence. What do you think is emotional intelligence? Can someone tell me what is emotional intelligence? Good morning, Mr. Manigandan. Thank you for joining. Good morning, Rosie. Good morning, Sabrina. Can anyone tell me what is emotional intelligence? Okay, let me tell you. Emotions is about people. Anything that we do every day is emotions. Mr. Prakash is saying balance of inter and intrapersonal skill. You are exactly right, Mr. Prakash. It is more to do with our own inter self, which is what do we do with ourselves? How do we react to situations? Let us discuss 5 key areas of emotions. First is self-awareness. How much do we know about ourselves? What am I? How am I projected in front of others? Have we done this analysis? Next is self-regulation. What is self-regulation? Self-regulation is about self-control. How much can I control my emotion? How much can I, how longer can I laugh? How smarter can I take the sadness? Do I show my sadness in front of others? The third one is empathy. Empathy is to talk or to know or to discuss about others, to understand our fellow being, maybe our colleague, maybe our, in personal life, maybe our wife or friend. In professional life, it may be colleague or team leader. The fourth important area of emotion is social skill. Mr. Emmanuel says ability to understand and manage your own emotions and way of thinking. That's perfect, Mr. Emmanuel. So it is how we interact with our society, how we take care of people around us, how do we give and take from them. The fifth most important thing is motivation. Only if we motivate ourselves, we would be able to push ourselves to something better. So self motivation is the fifth and most important area of emotion. Thank you, Mr. Vinay, for writing to us. Intellectual reaction based on situation. Yes, emotional intelligence is how we interact to the external emotions during good and bad situations. So if you can see your screen, our emotional intelligence is about all the emotions put together. Our brain can take good, bad, happy, sad, surprised, anger, frustration, everything put together. But how do we control them? How do we express one and how do we suppress one? That is all about emotional intelligence. Now, when it comes to, I have a question to everyone. Maybe Mr. Bominga is there, Mr. Emmanuel is there. Maybe they can answer this. What is the P that is mentioned here? Let me explain. Motives and values that we carry makes us an independent personality. Everyone has an independent nature and personality. Everyone has their motives and values. What do they lead to? What is the P that is referring to here? Can someone tell me what is the P? P stands for, I think someone is typing. Let us wait for, maybe someone else can also answer. Rosie has said purpose. Uh, Not closer. Yes. P something. I'll give you a clue. It is something to do with ourselves. Where does our motive and value take us to? There is something within ourselves that is projected to others. This is also a clue that I would give. There is, yes, Baz has rightly said personality. It is personality. Our motives and values takes us to personality. Our personality is formed by our motives. Okay, let us see what are 3 lessons understanding emotional intelligence. We have to understand what is our brain's emotional system. How does our brain control negative emotions? Because any negative emotion that is there in our brain damages the success and relationships. Relationships are very important in our personal and professional life. Anything that can cause damage to this relationship would be our emotions. What does cause damage to our emotions? Anger, stress, frustration, all this causes damage. How do we solve it? I think you can see an image on your screen. A person is removing a t-shirt of negative emotion and wearing a t-shirt of positive emotion. What does it mean? It means you have to put an effort to remove your negative emotion outside of you, and you have to wear positive emotions. Because unless and until you do not force yourself to do something, you will not be able to do it. Yeah. So most important carryover from this would be, thank you, Rakshit Shetty, for giving us answer of personality. uh, yeah, so major takeaway from this would be to control your negative emotion. Even if there is a scenario of negative emotion, remove it from yourself and wear positive emotion. Because only if you tell your brain that I am positive, I am positive, I am good today, I am self motivated, your brain will start thinking about it. How does emotional intelligence impact others? Okay, I am emotionally intelligent. How does it impact others? What does it do to others? Can someone answer? I can see Mr. Prakash, Mr. Vinay, Emmanuel, Rosie, Rakshit there online on the chat box. Can someone tell me what does EI, how does EI impact on others? Do we have someone typing? Okay. Can someone please tell us what can EI do to others in a good way or in a bad way? Anything. Make them interact positively. Mr. Darmas Yakub, thank you for that answer. It actually inspires others. So when you are emotionally intelligent and you deliver this talent of emotional, the skill of emotional intelligence, you are inspiring others. So this impact on others is through the behavior pattern of yours and the emotion that you deliver, the emotion that you show towards others. It is very important to be, when someone is allocating a particular task to you, when a person comes to you and says that this task is very important and you have to do it, you have to understand the importance of the task. And you have to understand second most important thing, will this, if I do not complete this task, will it hurt my relationship with this person? Third most important thing is timely information. If I am not able to do a particular task, I have to tell the person that I am sorry, I will not be able to complete it within the time that you have given to me. so that your relationship is not spoiled. You are being honest. This is the way emotional importance of intelligence will inspire others. Mr. Arindam Bhadra says self-awareness. Yes, sir. Self-awareness is one of the traits of key areas of emotional intelligence. Yeah. We have spoken a lot about EI. Yeah. Emotional impacts. We have discussed key areas. We have discussed some main points about EI. Let us take you into some lighter vein. We are going to play a video for you. Due to some technical reasons, we could not get the audio of the video, but you will see this video. You can, there will be a session. What did you learn from this video? I am sure most of you, or at least when you go back home, you hand over your phones to your kids or your nephews or niece to play games, right? How many of you have played Angry Birds here? I raised my hand because I have also played Angry Birds. Is there anyone who have played Angry Birds? Yes, there are a lot of people who say that they have played Angry Birds. It's very popular. Let us learn today something from Angry Birds. Here is a video. So Angry Birds are planning. Yeah, they are saying they are very angry on the pigs. They are planning to attack the pigs. Pigs are teasing them. Pigs are saying you can just fly and you don't think you can do anything. The birds finally decide to attack. So it is ready to hit. There it finds a blind pig. And what does it do? It stops. It controls its anger. So, what have we learned from this? Can somebody tell us what is the lesson that is learned from Angry Bird video? Can we see what is the lesson that we learned from Angry Birds video? Is anyone there who could give us an answer of what did they learn from this video? We have some guests typing in sympathy. Okay, can we expect some other answers? Mr. Ajish says sympathy. Can we expect some other answers? Okay, let me tell you. Angry Bird first decides to kill the pigs. Okay, Mr. Dharmas again says last show of sympathy. Anger management, very good. Okay, we should see what's the other side. Mr. Yogesh says yes. Rosi says anger management. Thank you, Rosi. Okay, let us see what we can learn from these Angry Birds. So Angry Bird initially decides to attack, then it finds a blind pig amongst its targets. So what does it do? It stops, it controls its anger. So what do you think would have happened next in a good way? Emmanuel says mercy. Okay. So what do you think it would have done next? It goes next to the blind pig. It tries to help the blind pig get down, and they happily continue to be friends, and they do something productive. So what is a lesson learned from Angry Birds? When we control our emotions, when we control anger, it can lead us to a productive environment, something which is positive. Okay, now let us move on. All of us have stress. What do we do when we are stressed? What is stress? We have so many things to do at the same time. We have a lot of things piled up. We are frustrated about things, and there are a lot of issues for stress. Yeah. So what do we do when we have to solve our stress? We should first analyze, does it look like a trouble? Is it a trouble for me? Is it really a trouble? And second, is it coming from a prepaid interest? Is it coming from a mistake that I've already done in the past? We have to find a solution. We have to find a source for this problem. Where is this problem coming from? Only if we find the source of this problem, we would be able to find some motivating people who can help us solve this stress. So when we can answer all these four questions, there is no stress. What do we do when we are stressed? Can someone tell me, can someone type in for us, what do we do when we are stressed? What are our stress busters? Can Mr. Emmanuel, Mr. Arindam, can can you please tell us what do you do when you're stressed? I guess someone's typing. What do we do when we are stressed, when we are overstressed? What do we do? This is what I do. I go for a smoke. How many of us does the same thing? We go for a smoke, right? Or there are people who do overeating when they are stressed. We eat chips. Yes, you're perfect, right? We overeat when we are stressed. We shout at the kids. Yes. We oversleep sometimes. We prioritize tasks. Chocolates. Yes, that's a good answer. Chocolates. Okay. These are different stress busters which are not at all healthy. These stress busters will lead us to some other disadvantages. Mr. Rakshit Shetty says, drink water, deviate by talking to someone else. Yes, ignoring negativity. That's what he says. So what are real stress busters? Sleeping is good. Take a nap, but oversleeping is not good. Listen to some nice music. You can do meditation. You can do some exercise. All these are proven stress busters. Mr. Emmanuel wants to be alone when he's stressed, and he does not want to be annoyed by anyone. That's a good one. Yes, keeping yourself busy with yourself. Rosie says, step back from the source of stress and breathe. Yes, that's again ignoring negativity and moving towards positivity. Mr. Emmanuel says yoga is a very good added stress buster. Yoga, meditation, exercise. Now, how can we change an emotional climate around? When there is someone around you, say for example, you go to your job, maybe you go to your job site and you see your site manager is so frustrated, and he is already frustrated because of some personal reasons. This, you can see a McDonald duck which is frustrated here. What do you do? How do you react? So the response for such frustration would be empathetic. Ask the person why he is so stressed, why he is so frustrated, and come up with a simple game plan. Tell him, sir, okay, you're frustrated about something. Can I give you a suggestion? Can you please take this plan as a solution? Example, I would be frustrated too. You have to put yourself in the shoes of the other. So I will also be frustrated if I was in your position. How do we resolve it? Can we do something like this? Can we come up with a plan of A, B, C? Can this be a good emotional climate change around? What do you think is Jerry doing here? Jerry is stressed. Can someone tell us what is Jerry doing here? Yes, Jerry is in confusion. It is in a confusion when Tom will attack it, when Tom will take cheese from it. Yes. So how do we change the response? How do we change this climate when someone is in confusion? Okay, wandering. Mr. Dermas Jacob is saying, wondering what is inside the box. That's a very good observation, sir. Thank you. So it is confused, correct? Prescribed response would be provide guidance with clarity and an action plan. Tell what is clearly needed. When you are confused, when a person opposite to you is confused, tell him, sir, okay, Mr. So and so, Mr. Alex, you are confused, but this is the guidance that I can give to you. Here is a clear and simple way to solve your stress. Maybe it might help him or it might lead him to another solution. These are a few of the examples to change emotional climate around. There are a few very common facial languages which we observe in people around. How do we justify or how do we see or analyze what these facial languages mean? Can someone tell me what does it mean? Hand on the cheek or chin and thinking, what does it mean? Can someone type in your answers on the chat box and tell us what does it mean? We have someone typing in. Yes, it means confusion. Thank you, Mr. Dermas. Deep in thought. Yes, there is something not being resolved there. It is like, I'm confused. What is it? The second facial language, someone has raised his eyebrow and someone looks frustrated. What does this facial language mean? Yes, Mr. Kaiser says, Mr. Kaiser Rafiq has rightly said, it is anger. Someone is angry. So we see so many facial languages in our day-to-day life. Let us take a guess on the last facial language. Someone is wide open eyes, wide open eyebrows with a big laugh. What does it mean? It is the most easiest thing. Joy. Yes, it is happy. So these are few facial languages which we can recognize from people who are opposite to us, and based on their mood we can change the way we express. When someone is angry, you cannot go and show your happy face or tell him something which he would be more furthermore annoyed, correct? So through these facial languages we can understand people around, and based on that situation we can come to which personality do they belong to at that moment. Yes, thank you, Mr. Andre, for also answering happy. Yes, it is happy. Let us see what is personality trait. What do you think is personality? Can someone give us an answer of what is personality? Any person has an unique personality. Everyone is independent. Everyone is so individual. Everyone has their own personality. But universally, these personalities are split into four major types. Let us see what are these. First one is dominant, D. Second is influential, I. Third is steady, S. Fourth is compliant, C. No personality is good or bad because every personality is individual, independent. It is acquired. Sometimes it is acquired. Most of the times it is inbuilt. People try to change it for their professional life, but most of the time it is inbuilt. But through definite skills, you can acquire different traits of personality. It is good to understand the personality of the opposite person to understand the behavior patterns of the person. So that once you know that the person belongs to influential category, which is more people focused, you can talk to the person about people. You can talk to someone about inspiring stories. You can tell about how interesting was an incident, so you can share a lot with influential people. So you may actually take a picture of this slide, because we are going to have a quiz session. Next session would be a quiz time for 10 minutes. We will have 3 questionnaire. These questionnaires will be based on this slide. So different types of personalities we just saw: D, I, S, and C. Let us go deep into it. D is for dominant. They are very task focused. They deal with the tasks and problems. They find solutions to the task. They are very demanding and they are dominating. Second is influential. They are very inspiring. They are interactive. They tell a lot of stories. They are interesting. They are more people dependent. They like people around and they support their people. They are people focused. Steady is stable. They are supportive and they are sincere, and they go and talk to people first. They are more slow and sensitive in their decisions, but the decisions that they take would be very appropriate. They do not take a regret for the decision that they have taken. Fifth is C. C basically means compliant, which is cautious. They are very cautious about what they do. They are very calculating. They calculate every single thing. They are very conscious. They know what they are doing. They're very careful about what they are doing. They analyze anything for more than 2-3 times to come into a conclusion. Shall we start our quiz session based on personality traits? Can we have some answers on the chat box? Is all of you ready for the quiz session? Yes. Yes. Perfect. So our first quiz for the day would be, this is a question. You have to analyze the personality of the character that is mentioned in the quiz. Let's go. Mr. Ahmed calls his teammate on a Sunday morning and hands him over with an important task. He gives 1 week time to finish this task, since he has to present it to his higher management later. After a week's time, the task is not completed by his teammate because of some personal reasons. Mr. Ahmed directly insulted him in front of the other teammates and demanded an explanation in writing. What do you think is Mr. Ahmed's personality here? Which personality trait would he be following? Mr. Dharma says dominant. Okay, D. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Mr. Darmas, Yakub, and Rosi. Yes, Mr. Subin. So yes, so the keywords here are, he was very particular about the time. It was 1 week time that he gave. And when Mr. Ahmed directly insulted him, he was so demanding in nature. So he is a highly dominating personality. He is a task focused, active personality. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Rajendra. Thank you, Mr. Andre, Dexel, Satish for answering. High D, dominating, is the right answer. Can we move to second question? Is everyone ready? Let us see who answers this first. 3 fresh engineering graduates joined ABAX contracting. After finishing the induction formality, they were sitting outside to get introduced to their other colleagues. Mr. James, the head of business development, was entering the office and he saw these people sitting at the reception. He immediately greeted them and introduced himself. Also, he shared some interesting moments from his first day of work and made them feel comfortable. This incident really inspired the new joiners, and they felt proud to join such an organization. Can anyone take a guess of which personality Mr. James belongs to? We already have answers coming in. Thank you, Mr. Satish, Kaisar, Ajish, Rosi, Bovinga. Yes, it is influential. How did you find out it is influential? Mr. James greeted them. He himself introduced himself. Thank you, Sudesh, for that answer. He shared some interesting moments in the first day. He is a storyteller. This incident really inspired the new joiners. So he has conveyed a story and he has inspired. He is a highly influential personality and his people focus. He is people focus. He is not task focus. And he is an active personality. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Mr. Andre, Mr. Satish, Mr. Rajendra for answering. Let us move to our last question of the day. Quiz 3. Mr. John is an engineering manager at a construction site. He was approached for a rebar installation, epoxy motor submittal. Mr. John initially confirmed regarding the loads from the recommended loads provided by the supplier. Once the approval go-ahead was given by the consultant for the same, Mr. John again called for the supplier to do an on-site pull-out load test to confirm the loads. He carefully made sure that all the engineers were involved for this application were present during this test. Mr. Kaiser is very fast. Okay, let us also wait for some other guest to answer. Okay, Dharmas, Mr. Dharmas, thank you. Sudesh, thank you. Mr. Bauminga has said steady. The answer is compliant. You can see Mr. John initially confirmed. Yes, thank you, Rosie, Rajendra, Andre, Dexel. Mr. John initially confirmed regarding the loads. Yes. Then once he got approval, he again gave it to the consultant. He asked for an on-site pull-out test. He carefully made sure that all the engineers involved were present. Yes, so he is highly cautious. He is compliant. He is task-focused, reactive personality. Yes, so as I told you in the beginning of personality traits, no personality is good or bad. It is the way we accept these personalities and deal with them. If someone is very cautious, you have to give them more details, more things for them to calculate. If someone is very influential, they are people person. So they will be involved in more discussion. If someone is very dominating, then you will have to react in that way. I guess the personality traits slide, you can use it in future as well to deal with your colleagues or even your personal, maybe your friends, maybe your relatives. Let us move into one of the most important sessions of today. Self-science. What is self-science? Can someone give us systematic? Okay, Emmanuel says systematic. Can someone tell us what is self-science? Self-science is, to prepare for this presentation, I was going through Coleman introduction on self-science. He says that self-science is one of the major trait a personality can possess. If you know about yourself, you are the master of it. So self-science is something to do with yourself. How much do you know about yourself? There are 5 main components of this self-science. First is self-realization. Do we look ourselves into the mirror? How much do we love ourselves? How much do we see? How much do we realize ourselves? That is the first and most important component of self-science. Second self-science component is manage feeling. Whether it is anger, frustration, sadness, happiness, surprise, do we manage it well, or do we just throw it to people who are in front of us? This third trait is one most important trait that is for our business. For our professional life, communication is one of the most important thing of self-science, because when we know how to transfer our thoughts, our views, half of the job is done. Does everyone agree with me that communication is the most important component of self-science? Because Mr. Satish says emotional and teaching skills. Yes. Mr. Muhammad Shahir says, yes, he agrees with it. Thank you, sir. Yeah, communication is very important, because when we share our thought, most of the times we we do not think or place ourselves in the shoes of others. We just want to just throw away whatever we think. We do not know how it is being communicated to others. We may just say, okay, the meeting is 10 o'clock. We do not say, okay, meeting is at 10 o'clock at this place on this date. So communication plays a very vital role. Fourth component is DM. Can someone take a guess what is DM from the picture that is shown on your screens? Mr. Rajendra, Mr. Emmanuel, thank you for being so active on the chat box, sir. Can you take a guess of what is DM? Decision management by Mr. Mohammad Shahir. Excellent. So decision management, DM is decision making. Whether it is right or wrong, whether the decision that you take may lead to success or failure, it doesn't matter. But taking a decision is very, very, very important. Decision making is the most important skill. Yes, Rosie has answered, Mr. Satish has answered. Decision making is which separates you from others. When you want to be moving ahead, moving forward, you need to take a decision. I would like to repeat, whether it is right or wrong, but taking a decision is very, very important. When all these four components are in place, what you should have to be a complete self-knowing personality. What do you think would be the fifth component of this self-science? You know that you have to be self-realizing, which is you should know about yourself. Second is managing your feeling, communication, decision making. With all this, you should be having responsibility. When you take responsibility into your hands, everything falls into place. Can someone add to this discussion? Is there any other component that you should be possessing, or you should be knowing about self science to know about yourself? Is there anything that you would like to add? Can we hear from some? Mr. Dexter, Mr. Andre, Ms. Rosie, Mr. Rajendra, Mr. Emmanuel, Mr. Mohammad Shahir. Is there something that is missing? So you all agree that with these five components, it is very easy and flexible for you to analyze your own self, correct? So what do we have discussed so much about EI. Yeah, it was not complete knowledge on EI, but experiment. Yes, Mr. Satish says you have to experiment. I think, sir, it comes under decision making, because when you take a right decision, it leads you to success, and when it does not lead you to success, you may take it as an experiment. Yes, okay, Mr. Andre accepts it. So we would like to, what have we learned from this presentation? What have we, the major takeaways from this presentation? Can somebody tell us? We have seen Angry Birds video, we have seen some facial languages, we have seen areas of emotion, key areas of emotion, stress busters. So where is this all taking us to? Can someone type in your answers? Mr. Andre says correct, somebody is typing in. So emotions drive relationship to others. Yes, when we have better relationship with others, we are actually having we are going closer to people. When we go closer to people, we understand the emotions. What do emotions do? Emotions drive people, and people drive performance. So it is a way we bring our heart and brain together. Yes, thank you, Mr. Dharmas. Importance of emotional intelligence, correct. So we have come to the end of the session. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. You can give in your feedback on the chat box. There is a questionnaire. You just have to click in on the questions and answer the questionnaire. I hope this simple presentation today was good for you to connect with your people. We will also like to have a feedback from you after experimenting whatever we saw today. We are learning every day, including myself. So even personality trait, if someone has taken a picture of it, maybe you can send an email to marketing@fischer.ae of your experience. How did you deal with people? How did you manage to secure winning? How did you win their emotions? So thank you for joining us. Our questionnaire is available. We ask you to kindly fill in the questions, and your feedback is a gift. Please give us your feedback. Please, that would motivate us to do such great webinars online. Thank you for joining us.